and welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy this video. Hi everyone, so good to be with you once again. We are going to continue from the previous video, which was all about remarkable discoveries within the Sphinx, a temple within its hollow head, Professor G.A. Reisner's interesting discoveries. You look this up and you look up Reisner, nothing about this. Nothing about the temple in the head, nothing about this main temple filling the body, connected by tunnels and tombs in different directions. Nothing also about the tomb of Menes, the first king of Egypt, supposedly found down here. Now, this article had more pages in it, so I'd like to share two of those with you that I just found on Google Images. The article seems kind of rare, hard to find, but there's two more pages on Google Images, quite accessible. I'm going to share them with you, and so they contain some unprecedented details, so let's get to it. Firstly, the remarkable discoveries within the Sphinx. Extraordinary interest is reported from Egypt concerning the discovery by Professor G.A. Reisner that the head of the Sphinx is the antechamber of a great series of temples. On the opposite page, that's the one I showed you, we are now able to give a drawing showing the general disposition of these temples within the head and body of the Sphinx. A depression had previously been observed in the top of the head of the Sphinx, but it seems that Professor Reisner was the first man who realized what this might lead to. The savant, Denon, who accompanied Napoleon's army, reports that he found a large opening in the head in 1802 and descended 10 feet into it. This is unprecedented. This opening has greatly filled up since then, and very few persons in recent years have noticed it. It has been suggested that the opening found by Denon was made by the Arabs in their everlasting search for the treasure in medieval times. But it was so large and deep that this seemed improbable. The depression led Colonel Weiss and Mr. Perring in 1835 to try boring rods at the shoulder of the Sphinx on the chance of finding an internal passage. The rod broke at 27 feet, and the broken rod still remains there. An old tomb shaft has been known to exist in the body of the Sphinx, which stretches for a length of 120 feet in the desert, and the head rises 40 feet above that. To Professor Reisner, it seems to have occurred that the depression in the head means much more than has yet been found. The enthusiastic young professor dug at the caked sand with the hand and knife to find that it yielded to his eager fingers. It was hard, but not hard enough to withstand the energy of the excavator. After his first examination, he secured the right to excavate into the Sphinx itself. No easy task, for the Egyptian government is none too ready to grant this precious right. And then his great task was really begun, for it is most difficult to secure workmen who will labour at the dominating genius of the desert, revered by them and their ancestors for so many generations past. One by one, he bribed and hired a few of the least superstitious of the fellahin, and the work went on all too slowly for his energy. At last, the sand and blocks that had been placed at the opening or drifted in were removed, and the explorer found himself in a chamber 60 feet long and 14 feet wide, which constituted a little temple complete in itself, yet connecting through a tunnel running down the neck, with a far mightier temple occupying the entire body of the monster. As any Egyptologist would expect, the temples are dedicated to the sun, for that was always the great deity of the Egyptians. The Sphinx itself is so placed as to face the rising sun, the outward symbol of what lay within. The head, to judge from the description sent out by Dr. Reisner, must have been the Holy of Holies of the greater temple below. The main temple is comparatively spacious, extending even below the body of the Sphinx, itself filled with columns, engraved in ancient figures, and adorned with gold and figures of the gods. As an inclined plane leads down from the head to the great temple of the sun below, so other planes extend, first to the pyramidal tomb of Menes himself, and then to the tombs of the other kings of the dynasty. These all remain to be explored, constituting an enormous field for exploration. In addition to the tombs, Professor Reisner is quoted as saying that other planes lead to a great subterranean city, which probably was once inhabited but has been buried in the sand so long as to be absolutely forgotten. He suggests that the Temple of the Sun will prove to be a golden temple, probably very much like the Temple of Solomon, in which, according to the Bible, the entire walls, floors, and ceilings were overlaid with pure gold. Temples covered with pure gold have generally been rifled before one gets into them, but this present discovery seems to hold remarkable possibilities. Wow! That is amazing. It seems to be suggesting that this is a pyramid here, and I didn't notice that before, but that is a pyramid buried itself within the Sphinx, just under this temple here. You would probably lever up these rocks also to get to it, or by this secret passageway. This is absolutely unprecedented. Why is nothing like this in the mainstream? I've never heard of this. I've read books on pyramids, never seen this. That's weird. Quite weird. The hole in the head? That's incredible. And a passageway leading down? That's all been sealed up. It hasn't been filled in. I think it's been sealed up. What's going on? But there's more. There's more than that. There's another page. That's Professor Reisner. Nothing on Wikipedia about any of this. You don't even find him really in encyclopedias. That's how rare he kind of was. I looked in my world book. He's not there. But there's another page, and here it is. So we're going to read this. The season in Egypt. Now, this is all I have so far, but let us read it. So let's get through it. Let's just zoom out and zoom in properly. There we go. The asp over the head of the Sphinx. This stone fragment showing the eye of the asp is now in the British Museum. So this was the asp on the headdress of the Sphinx. Just fascinating. And that's his eye. There's no indication of how big this is. During the present Egyptian season, every new visitor to the Old Nile will visit the Sphinx and will possibly comment on the baseless rumors of temples discovered within the head and body of this strange beast in the desert. Whether there are any hollow spaces within the Sphinx, one cannot say. And there is much else that is unknown or uncertain. Its age is not yet fixed, but it is held to be older than the pyramids, for an inscription found by Mariette shows that it already existed in the time of Cheops. Just as an aside, they're presumably referring to the New Kingdom or even Sa'it inscription found in a temple near the Sphinx, which suggests the Sphinx is a female goddess, and it was repaired by Cheops. And it is so hard to find information about this in any book or even online. So much so that I even forget the name of this temple because it is such a rare thing. But anyway, natural rock. It is hewn out of a natural eminence in the solid rock, the defects of which are helped out with mason's work here and there. the forelegs being likewise added, that is built on with stonework. Dr. Budge thinks that probably the rock itself was worshipped before being fashioned into a sphinx. It lays west to east almost in a line with Khafre's or Khephren pyramid. State of the Sphinx in Greek times. The Greeks named it the Sphinx, and it is supposed that in their time and that of the Romans, the figure, lion body and all, was of free access on all sides. That is not so today, nor has it been for centuries past. Abdelatif, 1162 to 1231 AD, mentions it in his time as a colossal figure of a head and neck emerging from the ground. What is more curious is that it was in this buried state about 1,000 years before the Greeks' time too. For the celebrated tablet or stele of Thotmes IV, 1425 BC, that still stands where he put it between the forelegs of the Sphinx, bears on it in Egyptian hieroglyphs a record of the fact that in his time, and in his father's time, before him, it was buried up to the neck, as it soon becomes now if the work of sand clearing is stopped. The vision of Thotmes. This Thotmes, before he was king, had an after-dinner vision in which he, the Sphinx, appeared to... No, who? It says who. The Sphinx appeared to him and promised him the kingship if he would clear the image of the sand and do sundry repairs. Thotmes IV was the son of Amenhotep II, by a wife not of royal blood, and the text of the stele before mentioned, which was afterwards set up by him as a record that he had done the work so ordered by the dream, seems to indicate that he would become king only on condition that he cleared away the sand from the image. In any case, he did it and became king and duly set up this 14-foot tablet recording the matter. Now, we know about all that. It also goes on about the painted face of the Sphinx, a lesser-known thing in the New Kingdom. The face of the Sphinx was painted red, so let's read that. The Sphinx, even from its battered remains, gives evidence that the features were modelled with some breadth and feeling. Denon, who lived between 1747 and 1825, describes it as being in expression gentle, gracious and tranquil. Character African, the mouth of which the lips are thick, having a softness in the movement and a fineness of execution truly admirable. It is flesh and life. Originally there were probably ornaments on the head, the whole of which was covered with a limestone. And that's the end of the fragment that I have. But what we have here is also something that was in a previous video. Essentially, this staircase, the steps in front of the Sphinx. There was this epic staircase. And modern excavators actually drilled right down through this to get to the temples below. This must have been coming up the south side of the Sphinx, because there are temples underneath this that the Romans didn't know about, which is where we found those statues of Khafre. Just incredible. Now, I had assumed that the previous page was the bottom half. This was the bottom half of that. Obviously not so, although this is also a Sphere article. It is from December 1913, 12, 83. No, it's not 83. And this is an article which is more critical of the idea of those temples in the Sphinx. So what is going on? Personally, I am just absolutely amazed with the audacity of this previous article here. Remarkable discoveries within the Sphinx. If it's a hoax, it's the sort of hoax that wouldn't be done today. You wouldn't quote these authorities digging in Egypt right at the present time and say, hey, they just discovered these things. So this is so weird to me. But anyway, what do you think about that? Check out the next video. We're going to go into even deeper detail. We're going to look at another article looking at a subterranean subway below the Sphinx. Just fascinating indeed. Cheers, guys. Now, do you know what? I've written a couple books. One of them is probably one of the best ancient astronauts books ever written. It's called Confessions of the Gods. Check it out, Kindle or paperback on Amazon. And also a pyramids book. The pyramids book is basically, well, it's 137 photos of sites you can visit in Europe, which are prototypes of pyramids. That's an amazing book. It's much deeper reading than the other book, Confessions, but check them out on Kindle and paperback. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. And also hit me up on Patreon. Cheers. Bye-bye.